Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 31, Brahmo Vacha. Netat Swarupam Bhavato Sau Padartha
Naitat-swarupam bhavatu sapadartha
Veda Grahe Purusho Yavadikshit
Veda-grahe purusho yavadikshit dakshit
Jnanasya Charthasya Gunasya Chasrayo
Jnanasya chathasya gunasya chashrayo
Maya Mayadvyatirikto Matastvam
Maya maya vyatiratto matasvam.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, your personality and eternal form cannot be understood by any person who's trying to know you through the different processes of acquiring knowledge. Your position is always transcendental to the material creation, whereas the empiric attempt to understand you is material, as are its objectives and instruments. It is said that the transcendental name, qualities, activities, paraphernalia, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be understood with our material senses. The Lord is called Adhokshaja. He is beyond our material senses. Our eyes, ears, nose, mind, all this is material. So with this material senses, how can we see or approach the spiritual? We do not have the capable apparatus with this material. For example, with the same eyes, we cannot even see the bacteria in front of us. We have to take a great microscopic lens by which we can see the bacteria. What to speak about the Lord? He is transcendental on the spiritual platform. So we cannot understand him with our material senses. The attempt of the empiric philosophers to understand the absolute truth by speculation is always futile because their process of understanding, their object, and the instruments by which they try to understand the absolute truth are all material. So absolute truth, he is spiritual, transcendental. If we use our mind only, without hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, without hearing from the devotees, if we just try to speculate, I want to understand the truth, but then it's just going to be limited to our imagination of what the truth is. Because our senses are material. The mind is, after all, material. It cannot approach the spiritual. So our conclusion is going to be not correct. If our instrument is not proper, the conclusion is not going to be correct. Like as we just said, with our this eye, we cannot see the bacteria in front of us. So someone may say, I don't believe there is bacteria because I can't see it. Well, but if you get the proper lens, you will be able to see it, no? So the same way, we need to understand the absolute truth by hearing, by devotion, by hearing from the devotees. The Lord is aprakrita, beyond the creation of the material world. This fact is also accepted by the great impersonalist Shankaracharya. Narayana Parovyaktat Andam Avyakta Sambhavam. So the impersonal theory is propounded by Adi Shankaracharya. He's the one who who really made this theory very popular. But he himself says that Narayan existed before the creation, that Narayan is greater than this material creation. Avyakta, or the original material cause, is beyond this material manifestation and is the cause of the material world. because Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material world, one cannot speculate upon him by any material method. So Shankaracharya himself is saying that Narayan existed before the material creation. Means he's not under the jurisdiction of the material nature. Because he's existing. He's the one who's creating this material world. So, of course, the material nature is going to listen to him. She is under his control. It's a very logical thing to understand. So, so by our speculation, by our imagination, the absolute truth should be like this. The absolute truth must be like this. This is my belief of the absolute truth. All this is speculation. It's just the mind. It's just the imagination. Maybe, should be, you know. But how do we understand the truth? The truth is the truth. The truth is never affected by our belief. Our belief cannot affect the existence of the truth. The fact is the fact. So, how can we understand this? One has to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the transcendental method of Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. So, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. Only by devotional service can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. So if we at all want to understand the absolute truth, we are used to the relative truth here in the material world. The truth that is relative to a certain time, place, circumstance. For example, COVID was not a reality, say 3 years ago. We never knew what COVID was, but today it's a reality. So it's a relative truth, time, place, and circumstance. But absolute truth is beyond time, place, and circumstance, beyond our material senses. So, how can we understand the absolute truth? Krishna is telling us by devotion. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Only by devotional service can we understand Krishna's supreme position. Can we understand the transcendental form of the Lord? And Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam in the 4th chapter. One who understands Krishna's form, Krishna's appearance, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's activities, then that person does not need to come back to the material world. He gets liberation. He goes back to the spiritual world by simply trying to understand Krishna's position. And how can we understand Krishna's position? By devotional service. The difference between the impersonalist and personalist is that the impersonalist, limited by their speculative processes, cannot even approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the devotees please the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his transcendental loving service. So if I don't know who's my father, and instead of asking my mother, I want to do research work and ask each and every person on this earth, are you my father? Are you my father? So I will go on speculating like this. Oh, did this person tell me the truth or no? And then yet my research work might not finish in my lifetime. I may not be able to question everyone. But if I simply ask my mother, who's my father, then I can know who's my father and I can have a loving relationship with him with the time that I have. Instead of trying to speculate, going through so much hassle, I can already have a very beautiful, loving relationship with my father. This is what's the difference with the devotee. So if I just use my mind to try to understand who's God, who's God, who's God, my whole life I'm going to waste like that. Whereas if I really want to understand who's God, I go to the authority, the spiritual master, the authorities who know God, who are engaged in devotional service. And then I engage in devotional service, and in this way, I can understand God. And not only understand, but please have that loving relationship with God. The devotees please the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his transcendental loving service. Any relationship, we want to please the other. We do things to please them. So the devotee, what does he do? He does services. He does some things for the pleasure of Krishna. So he's situated in this loving relationship with Krishna. Sevan Mukhehi, due to the service attitude of the devotee, the Lord is revealed to him. The Supreme Lord cannot be understood by materialistic persons, even though he's present before them. So the Supreme Lord, many people say, show me God, show me God. People would ask Srila Prabhupada, show me God. Then sometimes he would say, are we qualified to see God? We have to qualify ourselves. Then Premanjana Charito Bhakti Vilochanena. Only when we what's that? We put the salve of love in our eyes, anoint our eyes with the salve of love. Then we will be able to see Krishna. We will be able to see God everywhere. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna therefore condemns such materialists as mudas. Muda means rascal. It is said in the Gita, only rascals think of Lord Krishna as an ordinary person. They do not know what Lord Krishna's position is or what his transcendental potencies are. So Krishna is
One
saying,
question, sorry,
yes,
one
please,
question.
yes,
Is
yes, yes.
Adi Shankaracharya also, he was an incarnation of Lord? Yes, right?
Yes, he is incarnation of Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva, okay.
Yes, it is his service. This is Lord Shiva's service to Krishna. We said that Lord Shiva is the Dhampal, right?
Yes.
Lord Shiva, he protects the Dham from the atheists, from the people who are not sincere, who don't want to actually have a relationship with Krishna. So Lord Shiva protects the Dham from them. Similarly, Lord Shiva, here, he's protecting the holy name. He's protecting, this is his service, to keep the atheists out, to not disturb Krishna by following the impersonalist philosophy. And also, it was his service to bring the faith back to the Vedas, because Buddha, when he came, Lord Buddha, he had propounded the theory of voidism, that
Voidness,
don't,
right?
that don't study the Vedas, just follow me. But Shankaracharya had to bring the faith back of the people in the Vedas, and yet at the same time protect the holy name. He had to protect. He has to protect, not let anyone and everyone disturb Krishna. Yeah. So only the sincere people, they will be able to come towards bhakti. That's his service.
I just don't understand that why, he brought the impersonalist study. Like, he should have just brought it straight, right? That, God is a form, God is a person.
So again, based on time, place, and circumstance, Krishna teaches us according to time, place, and circumstance, and according to the, consciousness of the audience at that time.
Yes. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So Buddha, people were misusing the Vedas, slaughterhouses everywhere in the name of the Vedas.
Exactly.
So
During
Buddha
Buddha's
said,
time, right? Yeah.
so now immediately from zero, Lord Buddha is saying everything is zero. Already from zero, if we start saying there is two, that there is God and there is a soul, it would become too much for people to understand. So it had to come gradually. The change had to come gradually.
Okay.
So then Shankaracharya brought the faith back in the Vedas. That was his service. Bring the back. faith back. So people could at least say, oh, yes, 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 the Vedas exist. It's an authority. We need to study the Vedas. And for him to set the scene that when Lord Chaitanya comes, then Lord Chaitanya can explain that, okay, there is not one, there is two, there is a loving relationship, part and parcel. So because of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So then.
G was also called monoism, right? Oneness.
Monism, yes.
Monoism,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
From zero
So
to
what?
1. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
From zero, it was during Buddha's time. It was void,
Yes.
and then.
Yeah. So, the consciousness of a person will not immediately accept 0 to 2, 0,
Right.
1, 2, like that. So to set the scene for us so that we can easily accept, oh yeah, there are two, it's not one, Yeah, there's two, as Lord Chaitanya is saying.
Okay.
So then now Krishna is saying that, now these are Krishna's words, huh?
So
This
it
is
was
not.
after Sri Adi Shankaracharya, then came Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right?
Yeah, yes. Lord Chaitanya came only 500 years ago,
Right.
very recent comparatively.
Recent.
Yeah, only
And made
500.
things so much easier for everyone. Yes. Yeah. Just chant and
Thank
engage
you.
in devotional
Thank you.
service, right?
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's true. It's by Lord Chaitanya's mercy that we are able to chant. As you said, he made things so easy. Just chant. He knows that we have no qualification, no nothing. And by his mercy, we are able to chant. By his grace, we are able to chant. So then Krishna is saying that a person who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person is a rascal. Now, these are Krishna's words, Muda. Muda. They do not know what Lord Krishna's position is, or what his transcendental potencies are. We say Krishna, God is omnipotent. We say, yes, God is omniscient, God is omnipotent. But what does it actually mean? We have to do further research. What does it mean? It means that he has all these potencies, omnipotent. He has many, many potencies, many, many energies. And by these energies, he can use these energies as he likes, at his will. Unaware of his transcendental potencies, the impersonalists deride the person of Lord Krishna, whereas the devotees, by dint of their service attitude, can understand him as the personality of Godhead. So the way to understand, in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna also confirmed that it is very difficult to understand the personality of Godhead. So as you just rightly pointed out, that just chant the Hare Krishna mantra given to us by Lord Chaitanya, because that is the best service we can do. It's a service to Krishna, chant for the pleasure of Krishna. And by doing that, we can understand Krishna. This is the mantra which is given to us in this age of Kali for our perfection and to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. We chant for the pleasure of Krishna in a service attitude. It's a service, so it's devotional service. And we will be able to come to the transcendental platform. Now we may say, oh, but I'm chanting since X amount of years, but I'm not yet there. But we have to understand it's a process. It's a gradual process. We have been in the material world for quite some time, but have the faith that it works. It's a science. So we just continue chanting and it will work.
And how much sincerity we have, right?
Yes. Yes.
True.
The sincerity we have. And so what to do? We just continue to hear and chant. and continue to hear and chant. Somebody had asked Prabhupada how to become sincere. Prabhupada said, just by being sincere. You know? So, yeah, we continue to hear and chant and have the faith that, yes, I am going to go back home. I will follow in what Prabhupada is telling by following the instructions of the spiritual master. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya prasadat nagati kotopi. By pleasing the spiritual master, one pleases Krishna. By displeasing the spiritual master, one displeases Krishna. Because, we are in the material world, we have forgotten Krishna, so we can make up anything. Oh, I can please Krishna by doing this. But is that the truth? Is that what Krishna is saying? So how do we know? But the spiritual master knows. So we follow the spiritual master. We follow Srila Prabhupada. What is he saying do? What he's saying don't do? How he's saying to please Krishna. Yes, and easily we can please. And Srila Prabhupada wanted all of us to become pure devotees and go back home, back to Godhead. That's the reason he's translated so many books. He traveled so intensively all over the world so that we can become Krishna conscious and give Krishna consciousness to others. That's the mood of Lord Chaitanya. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. This last few days, 2 days of Kartik, we can keep encouraging others to chant, take up Krishna consciousness for their eternal benefit. So we'll stop here for today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki